Data is now at the heart of any intelligent project. We also see that data has become a product. So what we do at NetApp is to secure that data so that we can release all the value that you can get out of it for your businesses. So we deliver advanced security features, advanced data processing features, advanced data modelization features, and we do this in a way to allow our customers to use it anywhere. So what I'm going to do is, with quite some humility, talk about security, about the data, and especially focus on some specifics that we are addressing on a daily basis. Why is NetApp legitimate to talk about this? For a very simple reason. We host a lot of files, a lot of data all around the world. We are the #1 leader in storage when we talk about object storage or file storage. And from that perspective, we end up manipulating a lot of data. Okay, so it's not only Jensen Huang saying it. Most of the analysts are really focused on how to secure the data. If you talk to the MODs or in the US or in France, they're usually counting on NetApp to secure their data. And actually, most of the data in the world is not organized. When you look at data pipelines, usually you expect the data to be coming out of databases, tabulation, or formatted files. This is not the reality. Most files today are not structured, and it's all about managing them and sharing the information it contains with the rest of the world in a secure way. So I'd like to highlight two numbers. The first one is 68%. Okay. So 2024 saw a 68% increase in data breaches. What I like to relate to is about the number of ransomware attacks. In 2023, when I was talking about security, I was mentioning that there was a ransomware attack every 23 seconds. Do you know, in 2024, what was the outcome? The outcome was that there is an attack every 6 seconds. So, boom, we got another one. Okay, so it's very fast, and you get an attack all the time, anywhere. So the brutal fact is data is attacked everywhere, and AI data doesn't differ to it. It is attacked as any other kind of data. The other number I like, so I've seen many flavors of this one. Okay, 85% of AI projects fails. So sometimes 60%, sometimes 55%, whatever. The point that I find interesting is the reason. #1 reason is data access. It is quite difficult to get the data and to provide it to data scientists, data engineers, and to respect the governance around that data, or even just the access to that data. So, isn't that controversial? From one side, you want to secure the data. From the other side, you want to open it because you want more people to be able to use it. And that's exactly the equation and the balance that NetApp has been trying to solve for their customers. Okay. So let me dive into the first topic that I want to address, which is how to unlock your data. Basically, how to provide access to your data while it is security is at the heart of the managing it. Okay, so I wanted to show you a diagram. So I'm always worried about diagrams because they look complex. Okay, so I wanted to keep this one very simple. You will find very familiar names on this diagram. So you will see Google, you will see Azure, you will see AWS, and on the bottom left, you will see some NetApp equipment. Okay, so potentially on-premises. So the on-premises platform here is just limited to a corner, but let me tell you that's sometimes the most difficult part. One of my customers, for instance, they are making digital twins of the oceans. So the oceans all around the globe. And in order to make those digital twins, they have some buoys, the buoys that get into the water, and they go into multiple depths of water to get the salinity, the temperature, the pH, and obviously under the water, there's no communication. So those buoys, they go down, they go up, and at some stage they have to send the data. You have to limit the amount of data to send, and then they are centralized in a platform managed by NetApp. But guess what? That's not the only usage of the data. Then it is spread across multiple clouds to be able to provide additional value and to be shared with multiple research environments. So just from this diagram, you can see that if I want to use multiple services from multiple vendors, I potentially have to copy my data. So if I go to, if I use, for instance, Copilot is in Azure, okay? But maybe I'm a big fan of Vertex, which is in Google. So, and the same data potentially is going to get copied from one side to the other. But guess what? Every one of those hoster has got different security schemes. Different identity and access management, different monitoring, different log management, different policies for backup, different disaster recovery scenario. So basically, every time you copy your data to a different platform, you end up managing an whole lot of environmental policies that you have to duplicate and duplicate and duplicate. So where do we come into play? Okay. What we've done is we've worked with most of the cloud providers. So here you got the big three from the US, but you've got also some sovereign clouds in France with whom we've been working. In order to provide a global namespace. So basically, if you take any of those cloud providers here, you don't see only Azure, AWS, or Google. You see Azure NetApp Files. That's a product from Azure. Okay, it's a Microsoft product, but it's based on NetApp technology. Same for AWS. AWS FSx for NetApp on top. It's a NetApp product. Well, it's a AWS product based on NetApp technology. Okay. So the point here is if I want to manage the security of my data, instead of copying it everywhere and having to manage a security scheme and a security policy on each location, I can provide a single namespace because the NetApp technology is already spread across all of those vendors. So it might look a bit complex, but it's quite simple. Basically, you have one single point where your data is kind of legitimate, and all the rest are just kind of, let's call it caching environment. Write and read, but they're kind of caching. So it's really available everywhere, but you manage your security in a central point, okay? Whether the data is on-prem or in the cloud. This is a critical aspect when you want to manage data across multiple systems. One of my big customers, for instance, is making movies, okay? They're spreading the data everywhere, and the guys who are making movies, they are so-called artists. The artist in Japan is working on the same movie, which is about 1 billion files, as the one in France and as the one in the US, who's going to make the emotions of the characters. Well, all this is managed through a single namespace with a single security scheme, thanks to NetApp. So obviously, we're talking a lot of, with large amount of data, which is spread across the world. And that's one way for us to provide access to large amount of data with a central security scheme. One other item is typically the data services we provide around that data is also based on AI. So I'm just going to give you a very simple example. If you have one single namespace and you've got an attacker, I mentioned ransomware attacks. So let's take an example of a ransomware attack. How does it work? A ransomware attack usually starts by someone stealing data and then encrypting. Encrypting is writing a lot. Okay, you modify all the files. Guess what? With an AI model that we know that is modelizing how data should behave, we are able to say, okay, this is an abnormal behavior. A lot of writing like this is abnormal. So we protect right away the data and make sure that it is untampered. Okay? So this is a native feature within our NetApp platform that we benefit from when we have a unique location for all the data that is spread across the globe. And obviously, so I just wanted to highlight this with a customer statement saying NetApp's AI technology automatically executes everything from detection to instant data protection That's exactly what we do, embedding our protection within our tools. So let's focus now on one single aspect of security. I said I wanted to talk really with a lot of humility because security brings a lot of topics. But since we are in the FSI, section of the event, I wanted to focus specifically on long-term retention. Why? Because long-term retention is very often linked to regulation and to specific requirements that our government parties ask us to comply with. So let's get a bit of detail. So when you talk about regulation, the one you think of first is obviously the external regulations. So in the FSI sector, you will talk about DORA most likely, NIS2 maybe, AI Act, since we're in the Adopt AI space. But actually, it's not only about external regulatory, it's about internally as well. How do you protect your intellectual property? How do you protect your historical records? Okay. And again, if you lose that, there is a risk of competitive advantage from your competition. And last, of course, you also are under the risk of internal malicious interaction from your admins or from external attacks. So you will define policies that potentially will protect you against data attack. So here, NetApp has put together a solution that allows for immutable copies, meaning every time you host the data, you have the ability to keep it untampered for maybe 10 days, 1 month, 10 years, depending on the requirements that you have and the protection level that you want to give. And again, this is not complex. This is native. You just have a policy to apply, and suddenly the security is set in terms of data retention. Let me focus on just 2 items because time is running. So DORA actually is, I don't know if you looked at the document. The document is around a bit less than 150 pages. So I don't know who has read it as a whole. I didn't read it all, but I did read some articles. Okay, and there are some articles that are quite interesting. I like very much Article 25, which is the generic principles. Why? Because this article mentions the potential exit strategy. When your data is critical, if you provide it to only one vendor and that vendor breaks, you're screwed. So what DORA states is that you must have an exit strategy. The underlying statement behind it is if you have your data in a cloud provider, please be ready to have it in another one. Okay? But that's not the topic here. The topic is around protection and prevention. One of the key elements of DORA is about protecting the data and preventing that the data is tampered. Again, so many customers are using NetApp to secure their data and to make sure that they create a tamper-proof copy so that their data is safe, whatever happens. Okay. Another example, obviously, since we're in the Adopt AI Summit, is about the AI Act. So everybody's talking about the AI Act. You've got lots of startups around here, offering their services to make sure you're complying with the AI Act. One of the critical items of the AI Act is to make sure that your data is not poisoned. Okay, again, to make sure that your data is not altered and is tamper-proofed. So, and again, NetApp here has got a solution to protect your data. Time is off, so I will just end up with one quote from my CEO. Only NetApp enables organizations to manage any data for any application anywhere it's needed. So optimized, secure, and protected by intelligence. That's the promise of intelligence data infrastructure. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Philippe.